Hello, welcome to the IUS Horizon podcast. Today we are talking about religion, which will surely not get complicated.
Oh, it'll get complicated.
I hope so. It'll be
You
fun.
hope so. That's what you want to happen.
I want to see some
you
stuff start
want
burning.
you want all of us to start an argument between each other.
We're gonna that election one is gonna be the next big chaos one.
See, that's why I didn't come to the election one. I'm kind of nervous about being here right now.
Well, you should be. It'll be fun. What do you mean? But
You're right.
anyway, so I am personally Christian Baptist, but I've taken comparative religion classes. I love researching the world and getting different perspectives. So anything about that, I'd like to say I'm informed on it. There's some I don't know as much about. Like I'll be outright and say I don't know a lot about Hinduism, but the Abrahamic religions and Buddhism and cults. I know a ton about cults. I got that.
What's the difference between a religion and a cult?
Great. So that is well, your cults have a lot of different tropes that you could put with them. So if there is a leader that is in charge of it and makes it all about themselves, that's usually a pretty bad sign. Sometimes they'll attach it to a pre-existing religion. There's also other things like followers have to not be connected to anyone else. You're part of this religion first and foremost. Religion. It's just very, very all-encompassing. Monetary gains often added. It's very parasitic. While other religions, you usually have the option to walk away if you wanted to. While a cult, you can't, or at least not without facing severe punishment.
So, do you know much about like fundamental Baptist churches?
So, like
in the
the
South?
The northern versus southern divide.
No, not necessarily, but like my mom was raised in like a fundamental Baptist church. Like she wasn't allowed to wear pants. Like very strict,
southern.
very much like if you are in this religion, like you look down upon people who aren't. Like you have a lot of rules you have to follow, and like the church is essentially supposed to be your whole life. Would you describe that as a cult?
Well, I describe that as I think it's outdated at the very least.
Fair.
I'm not sure if I would describe that as, you can do what you want to do, but for me, it depends on how about the members are necessarily treated and if they're able to leave. So if they're able to leave and aren't being taken advantage of parasitically, I wouldn't classify it as. I still wouldn't support that personally, but I don't know if I classify as a cult. I would say it's at least not somewhere I'd want to be personally.
Fair enough. No, I agree with that. I think it's.
I
I don't say crazy because like I don't want to like yuck people's yum or anything, but like I don't know. I would not be a fan of that. And my mom talks about it like the worst time of her life. Like she was in that until she was like 18 years old. Like she wasn't allowed to wear pants until she was in college.
Gosh.
Which is kind of like not even during sports. Like
Really?
she played basketball in high school and she had to wear like a long like skirt thing.
So you couldn't even have like shorts under it?
I think you could. I don't know. I know some religions don't let you wear like pants underneath. I think she was allowed to. I think it was more of like the outside appearance of it. I'm really not sure on that one.
I had someone in high school, like, keep in mind I was in high school 3 years ago. So I'm going to call out any names, it's rude. But his family was religious, and even like he played tennis, peak heat, he had to wear like full pants. He was never allowed to wear shorts. That was like 3 years ago. So, and I think his mom and his sisters had to wear skirts all the time. So,
Was he Pentecostal?
I think so.
Yeah, like the people who don't cut their hair. Yeah, I had a friend who was like that as well.
At the elementary school that I went to, they got a new priest there a few years ago. And I could be wrong, but from what I've heard, like the girls there, they can't wear like they have to wear baggy pants now. Like they can't wear like a skirt or anything.
Interesting.
It's a reversal.
And it's a Catholic church also. Like, because I went to a Catholic school for both grade school and high school.
What was that like?
Did you enjoy the fish fries?
No, I actually hate fish.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah, I'm gonna confess I broke that rule of not eating meat on Fridays. I still hate meat.
It's okay.
I will admit I am Catholic. I'll make that clear. But another thing about private schools, the clothing is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because like when I was in high school, I had to wear a button-up shirt and a tie.
You had to wear a tie?
Yeah.
In elementary school too?
No.
Okay.
Only in high school. But for junior year, I didn't have to wear the tie because they made us wear COVID masks. So instead of a tie, we had to wear a COVID mask.
How
nice.
nice.
Hey,
How does that relate?
I don't know.
It's still an accessory.
And then in senior year of
Only one accessory.
and then Well, no, we had to wear the COVID masks.
Yeah.
But in senior year of high school, on every Friday, I got to wear a T-shirt with the school logo on it and tennis shoes.
Wow.
Nice.
You weren't allowed to wear tennis shoes the rest of the days.
Nope. I had to
Dang.
wear Sperry's.
What
and I hated
happened
it.
if you walked in tennis shoes?
They'd make you change your shoes, and they'd either make you wear a pair of shoes that were too big or too small for you. Yeah.
Loner shoes.
No, I hate Sperry's. I hate them. You'll never see me wearing them again.
Fair.
Interesting.
I also went to Catholic school growing up, so
Yeah, so you and I can relate.
yes, I did go to public school for high school and everything like that. I will say the one thing that I did like about wearing a uniform every day is that I did know exactly what I was going to wear to school
That
the next day.
that is
So
true. It did make it easy to figure out like what you would wear to school the next day.
yes, I didn't have to spend 15 minutes getting ready in middle school just to throw on some really bright neon clothing and walk
Yeah,
out the door.
exactly.
So, you know,
See, I still don't look at what I wear every day. So I eventually avoid. I just grab whatever I saw.
You see,
But-
I'm kind of the same way. Like I'll just grab any hoodie I can find, any shirt I can find, and either jeans or sweatpants, then tennis shoes. There we go.
Well, speaking of school, what do you all think of the role of religion in schools? Because one thing that I always found to be strange was, at the start of class, you go up and do the Pledge of Allegiance like one nation under God, like God's directly mentioned, but you can't mention God anywhere else because
Yeah.
that's, it's like
Yeah, because like you
seems
can't
hypocritical.
use the Lord's name in vain.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Interesting, because okay, so I didn't go to any religiously affiliated school, but I
didn't
did
either,
go
but-
to school in the middle of nowhere in elementary school where everyone was very religious. So it was kind of like going to a religious school, because not that we had like church as a class, but like we talked about it a lot.
Mhm.
And God was kind of ingrained in a lot of our classes and stuff. And just because that's how our teachers were, no one was going to complain because everyone was Christian. My class size was like 20 kids until I moved in the 6th grade. So that was just like a really weird experience of having like God relating to like algebra and stuff.
What?
Not algebra. I didn't learn algebra that young, but like God was like there. God invented long division. What can I say? It wasn't people. It was Jesus who invented that.
Jesus in the square root.
Yeah, which like I'm not against, Christianity or anything like that, but whenever you grow up having that kind of like shoved down your throat and not being allowed to choose, I think that turns a lot of people away from religion when it can be something that is very beneficial for a lot of people. Actually, the first video I put on this channel was me and my friends talking about religion. And like the past, year or so, I've been looking more into religion, trying to implement that back into my life after being like severely like angsty atheist for a lot of middle school and high school, because I was like, I'm going to disprove religion because it has ruined my life as a kid. And so I think that it being shoved down people's throats so much really just it does no good for anybody.
Kind of a. Oh, sorry. Were one of you gonna say something?
Oh, I was gonna ask, say, we mentioned atheism. Like, would you guys consider atheism a religion or not? Because technically, it's there. There is no God. This is just how it is. Like, would that classify as religion, or is that just the anti it? Like, would you classify that as?
I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
I think some people take atheism to an extent that other people take religion, and they make their whole lives about being atheist. But I think other people do it in more of an agnostic kind of way.
Mhm.
Yeah, they just don't want to acknowledge.
Like they don't really care.
I actually knew someone that was agnostic, and she just said like she just doesn't really like to get involved in religion and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I mean, a lot of people are like that anymore. They don't
Yeah.
really want to care about religion. That's totally
Like-
fine.
Yeah.
I myself don't really try to get involved in religion that much, even though I am Catholic, but I just don't like to get involved in it that much, just because I feel like it can I don't want to lose like relationships with like family members and like friends, so I just don't really try to get involved in it that much.
Mhm.
That's fair.
What are your guys' thoughts about like the Bible and stuff? Like how it's changed over time?
I think if you really want to read the Bible, you have to read it in Hebrew. That's the language it's written in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when the Bible was translated to English, King James or whatever rewrote the whole thing to fit his will. So
Yeah, there's tons of different versions.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of different
Yeah.
versions, but I don't think a lot of the ones now are accurate to what it was.
I read the NLT because that's the most not the most straightforward in my opinion,
Mhm.
because it's probably the most recently made one. I mean, they make new ones all the time. Most
Yeah.
recent one, to my knowledge, that's like accepted. So that's the one I read the most because it just simplifies it all. So I don't have to deal with a lot of the expressions and euphemisms that didn't age very well that I don't understand anymore.
Yeah.
So-
There's NLT, there's NASB, which is New American Standard, and then there's ESV, English Standard Version, and then there's King James and New King James. I think I hit all the, I don't know, accepted ones, if you will.
The major
Also
ones.
Greek.
But I mean, I don't know. I originally started with the NASB and went to, what am I reading now? And then went to the ESV. So I switch between the two. Gosh, I've probably been ESV in the ESV, like strictly all ESV for year and a half, somewhere around there. I don't remember the exact timeline I switched, but and the funny thing is I don't even remember why I switched, but I did, and I kind of like it better, truthfully. At least for CSF, we'll put it here. At least for CSF, everybody seems to go out of ESV, so it's nice to just have that when you go into Bible studies and things like that.
And I stick with NLT and they're reading ESV, and I'm like, I'm getting the gist of it, I guess. But
Well, Chris, then you'll understand this. Chris uses NLT when he does stuff for EHBC. He will use NLT, but I can't remember if he uses ESV for CSF or not. He may not, but either way.
for reference, CSF is a Christian group that meets on campus. Anyway, move on.
Did not include that.
We're talking a lot about Christianity, but have any of you ever thought about like changing to a different religion?
I have
Or
thought about it, I'll admit.
What have you considered?
Say, I just found different religions really interesting to study. I'm all like,
Yeah.
I was like, kind of made me want to try it out, but also felt like a betrayal kind of thing. So I
Mhm.
never did. But I do like learning about different religions a lot because of that, and enjoy meeting people and discussing religion
Yeah.
with other ones, especially if they're related to like the other Abrahamic religions,
Yeah.
like Judaism and Islam.
Interesting that you mentioned that because when I was like 10, I wanted to be Mormon.
I had an aunt and uncle that were Mormon.
Interesting.
And
I have a story
my
about someone being
grandma
Mormon
and,
that I'll
like,
talk about in a
my
sec.
Christian cousin talked me out of it, and they compared both Bibles. And they didn't want me to participate in it, but I love the people I went to church with. That's why I was like,
Mhm.
I just love the people I went to church with.
I can understand that
Yeah.
a little bit. I have a story about someone being Mormon. So I was at a wedding a few years ago. It was my mom's cousin. He was getting married, but my entire family is Catholic, and the person that he was marrying was a Mormon. And they had talked about it beforehand. I think with Mormons, like, I could be wrong about this, but from what I've heard, they like send their kids away on like a journey, they call it, for like years, I think. And she had said she wasn't going to do that. So then they got married, and she changed her mind. Like she
Oh.
wanted to do that, and then a week later they got divorced.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Dang.
I thought divorce wasn't allowed for Catholics.
No, it's allowed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can get
It's
divorced.
just highly discouraged.
The thing that's not
Look at
allowed.
a-
The thing
an
that's not allowed with
annulation.
Catholics, you're not allowed to have kids before you're married.
Yeah.
But
That's with
a
most
lot of
Christian
them, a lot of them
religions.
break that rule, and that, even though I'm Catholic, that is a rule I'm against. Like, just for two reasons: one, because I think it's stupid that you can't have kids before you're married, and two, I was actually born before my parents were married.
Mm-hmm. Marriage is a piece of paper anyways. Like, I think obviously it's like advised to like have somebody you're like gonna be with for like a while so you can raise your kids together. But like, marriage is literally just a piece of paper. I don't see why. At least in America. In other countries,
Yeah.
there's a lot
Gives
more
you government
binding.
benefits.
But yeah,
That's fair.
get your
I
government,
like
get
Yeah.
free college.
But not like
Get
through the
married.
court system. I just want to do the wedding.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I literally just want to do the wedding and get the rings. I don't want to like share our money. Because if we break up, it could just be so simple.
But like, you don't want to get
Yeah.
married if you plan on breaking up.
But just in
Fair
case,
point.
like, you never know how.
I know people who are married, like they each kept their husband and wife, and the wife kept her maiden name, and they do their money separately. There are things that they come together for.
But I
There-
would want to get married if there was a law that if you cheat, I get all your money.
I think you,
Imagine.
there are
Some
laws
states.
like that.
There, but
In Kentucky,
of.
I'm pretty sure there is basically they have to pay you for cheating on you. Yes.
Yeah.
They should make that a law everywhere.
I
Like,
agree.
I think like in marriage court and stuff, like if one partner did something like really bad, like a lot of their assets will go to the other one, especially if there's like kids involved. I know, like
Child support.
kind of other things
No
too.
different?
Sorry, I'm trying to think of like my parents' divorce and like what happened, but like I don't want to like fill y'all all in on that.
It's all good.
Yeah. Anyways, back to religion. My best friend is Jewish.
Oh.
And so hearing her talk about like Judaism and all of that kind of stuff, like really makes me like super interested in Judaism. But in Madison, where I live, there is not a synagogue or anywhere to go within like an hour.
Oh,
So it's like if you want to like, I mean, obviously you don't have to go to synagogue to practice Judaism. There are other things you can do, but it makes it a lot harder to learn. And communicating with people of that religion makes, it a lot more fun. And I think religion is a lot about community.
mhm.
So I do wish that we had more diverse religions in this area. Really, the closest place to go is like Louisville or Indy, like the bigger cities where you can find more, places of worship. But I think Judaism is like a really cool religion, but it is really hard to convert to. It's like a process.
Yeah, it's very
How
Yeah.
long is the process?
I think it depends on how you choose to go about it, but it takes several years usually, I believe.
My best friend in high school actually, well, she technically isn't Jewish, but her dad is. And since
Mhm.
her mom wasn't,
Yeah.
she wasn't Jewish, but like her whole side of her dad's family, like she still had to like go to bat mitzvahs and go to all that kind of stuff and
Mhm.
like do traditional like Hanukkah with her dad's side and mom's with her Christmas with her mom's side.
Yeah.
And like I can only imagine how confusing that could be to like have to do both like
Yeah.
Christian holidays and
I
then
have-
like
I have two cousins that are like
Jewish
that.
holidays.
Their
double the
mom,
presents.
two of my cousins, their mom is Jewish, but their dad is Catholic, and so they I'm pretty sure they do half and half. On their mom's side, they celebrate Hanukkah, and on their dad's side, I know they celebrate Christmas because I see them every year on Christmas. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting, like raising kids with religion, because like I don't want to say it's indoctrination, because like
I've thought about that.
like
Because like it could cause like if you have two different people like married that are part of different religions, like that could cause like
Sometimes it's not allowed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not. In my family's case, it was because my uncle's Catholic and my aunt's Jewish. But like that can cause like some disagreements about like how to raise your kids, like whether they learn about religion or not.
I think everyone should learn about religion in different kinds and be allowed to have the option to choose to go down that path or not. But I think at the same time, like I don't like how parents will like force their kids into Christianity. I say Christianity because that's just what I
That's the
know
most common one.
and the one around
This
here.
area.
Yeah.
But like
Like at least have like some knowledge about religion. Because
Yeah.
one of my cousins didn't
Creative
even
religion's great.
one of my cousins didn't even know what the devil was.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, she didn't know what the devil
how
was.
old was she?
She was how old is she now? She maybe was like 6 maybe.
Okay.
Well,
That's-
that's
that's
a bit more
that's
believable.
relatively
I knew what the
young.
devil was when I was 6 years old.
Oh, no, I
Yeah.
did too. I was 6 years old crying because I thought I
You
was
just call
gonna.
me girl.
I call everyone a girl.
Oh no.
And
I'm just
I mean,
kidding.
I got
I'm
baptized.
just messing with you.
I got baptized Christian
Mhm.
when I was like 3 months old, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like-
that's
like
how
the
it
clearly-
works,
I think I got like dunked in water.
Yeah.
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 That-
I don't
that's
know.
usually how they do.
But
I think they
you can-
pour it
There's
on
probably
you.
a video of it or something.
Yeah. That's
But
I'm pretty sure they
I
pour
think
it
it's
on
so
you.
crazy.
I agree.
Because I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And then even whenever I did start going to church as like a teenager, I just like fell out of it. It like
yeah.
yeah.
wasn't necessarily for me. It's not that I'm like against it at all. It's just like I didn't feel like going to church.
That's fair.
Two times on Sunday with a whole
My problem with church is I just don't like the priest at my Catholic church.
Ooh, I have
Yeah,
stories about that. I have
that's-
stories about that.
I-
Pastor, but-
The thing with my church is they make us go on Sundays and it's like 9:00 in the morning and they're just singing and screaming and it's just so like extra. I don't know. I just like to hear the word though, because I feel like sometimes it can relate to you, but then after you like doing so many Sundays, it's like, is it really like is the word really meant for me?
Mhm.
But when I go like occasionally, I feel like it's meant for me. Like on New Year's, my mom used to make me go every New Year's, and I would be so mad.
I like going on Christmas when we get to hold
Oh, yeah.
candles. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
that's
that's-
really fun.
Yeah,
You-
yeah.
I think going to church on like on Christmas Eve
It's
and
fun.
Especially
Easter.
late at night.
I like going to church
Yeah.
like in the morning on Easter also.
Yeah.
And getting cute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys? Did your all's churches that you all went to? Do they ever like do like the Christmas play every year?
Yeah, the little
That-
cantata at the end.
I was
Um,
always
I
the
think so.
star.
Oh.
Nice.
I got to hold the big star.
Big shot.
It was my favorite thing to do every year when I went to church.
I played a star before.
When
Yeah.
I was younger, I used to sing in church, and then like whenever we performed on Sundays, I would just start crying. Like I would get so nervous, and then my grandpa would be like, "Just sing, just sing." And I'm like, "Oh."
Do any of you all drink the wine during communion?
Yes.
Well, we use grape
Well-
juice.
Yeah, we used grape juice.
No,
We didn't
yeah.
have wine.
I won't touch it.
It's-
Here's my reason why. It's because the amount of germs on that thing and the amount of people that have been drinking off of that.
I mean, like they
Thank you,
like
Steve.
wipe it though with like a little cloth, but you know, it's
still-
like
that's not enough for me.
How does your church do it?
I don't even think they wipe it.
Wait, it's like 1 cup.
Yeah, it's 1 cup.
Oh God.
Well,
yeah, it's
so-
1 cup.
yeah.
And here's the thing: like you'll have people like my grandmother
What?
say, "Oh, it's because it's blessed. The germs
Wait,
go
he
away
said-
on it." And
Okay.
my dad said to her, "Well, where'd you hear that from?" And he went, and she went, "Oh, it's in the Bible."
See,
And
every
then he
like
went,
your
"Oh,
source.
I don't think it is, but okay."
Yeah.
But they're Christian churches, but they're like little cups.
Yeah,
Yeah,
little
see,
cups.
see,
Yeah,
they
little
don't
cups.
do that in my church. It's just 1 cup that you drink out of.
Yeah.
Everyone drinks out of
You
it.
you have your chalices.
Yeah, it's the chalice. Yeah,
You'll
it's the
have
chalice.
at least like where I went to church growing up. The way we do it is every row has their person that gives out the body, and then the person that has the chalice with the blood. So
Yeah.
I mean,
That's how
there
they
were
do it
4
there.
cups, but everyone in the row would just drink after they wiped. So
See,
I don't-
you,
I don't even know if they wiped at my
We would
church.
have
They
Yeah.
probably do.
little plastic cups.
Yeah.
And like
Yes.
there would be like a piece of a cracker. I guess
Yeah.
they would.
Yeah.
Yes. See, that was okay. What you're talking about, they did all of that pre-COVID, where they would. But now, I mean, where I go now, and where I've gone for the last, dear goodness, I don't know, for a while, they get it to where it's all individually. So it literally looks like an hourglass, and one side of it has a little piece of the. I don't even know if you'd call it a cracker. It's not even that. But you know,
Saltine?
Crackers probably the closest you're gonna
yeah,
get.
probably crackers as close as I can get. But and then you flip it over,
So wait.
the other way,
Mhm.
and you get the grape juice out, and you get the grape juice. And they because they never did, even post COVID, even now, 4 or 5 years later, they never did go back to the big trays with the individual open cups. They never did.
See, for a little while, my church, they usually do that. Let's do that now. They used to have us, there was 1 glass of grape juice and a large piece of bread. And you take the bread, you rip off whatever part of the bread you want, not too much, obviously, dip it in there, and then you can have it.
Oh.
yeah,
I really don't like
Interesting.
salted
Much tastier.
cereal. I don't like anything salted.
interesting.
It's called intinction.
Intinction?
Oh.
Distinction. Okay.
That's
Ugh.
foul.
Ew.
The pastor and I talked about it yesterday, why we don't do intinction, and I just said COVID.
Yeah, good
Enough
point.
said. It was
I-
tastier, though.
Yeah, I always thought it was 22 because I'm over 21, and every time I'll try like a dark red wine, like a dry red wine, my first comparison is I'm just like, oh, this tastes like church wine every time.
That's probably like
Communion flavor.
that's probably what most people think of now because that's probably the first time that they ever tried wine.
Yeah.
Was in church.
My
for the
mother would
first
be like,
time.
Nick Landrum, there's a difference between those two, and I'm like, okay, my bad,
Yeah.
Like,
One of
sorry, mom.
my bad.
But no, that's funny because for some reason we all love our parents and all that, but I could see if even if I did that, my mother would be like, you could just see the steam coming out, almost coming out of her ears. So Nick, when you're like, yeah, nope, that's
Can't relate. I have a very Polish family. Did not matter.
For me, it'd be my grandmother that would get mad about that.
My grandma
'Cause-
supports. You be the one that give me it.
That's funny.
My grandmother's very hardcore Catholic, but she doesn't.
Hardcore.
Yeah, but she doesn't agree with a few things about it, just like how I don't agree with a few things about Catholic.
Yeah.
Like I don't agree with you can't be gay.
Yes,
Like,
that's
I do
So
not
true.
agree with that.
yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I don't like the priest at my Catholic church because he said to my grandmother, like you can't be around gay people. And my grandmother said, but I have friends that are gay. And he said, I would recommend distancing yourself from them.
That's
And here's
disappointing
the
to
thing:
hear.
she would always invite him to her house, like when we'd have family gatherings, which was very awkward to begin with. But thankfully, she doesn't do that now.
Yeah.
She always has a thing like with becoming buddy with the priests. Like she always, if she becomes friends with the priests, she always invites them over to our family gatherings.
Oh.
And it's very awkward because we can't be ourselves around him.
Mhm.
It's very awkward. Yeah.
It is.
It's like a persona.
Keep them away from youngsters.
Like we can't get super drunk.
I think
The
it's
priest is gonna judge
I
you.
mean, it is
Yep.
Catholicism, so they do enjoy alcohol, but that is fair.
I think it's interesting that like, you know, like you said, you don't agree with like the anti-LGBTQ rhetoric of, you know,
Mhm.
Catholicism. I think it's interesting that like a lot of Christians interpret the Bible as saying you can't be gay when I don't know where it says that. I don't know.
It is in it.
It's a
But
subsect
it's-
of Leviticus,
Yeah, it's
I
in Leviticus,
believe.
and it's also, but you hear that is in it, but you also hear to be loving towards everyone
Yeah.
a lot
Exactly,
more,
yeah.
including those that
Yeah.
are sinners. So I'm like, that's in it way more than that. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
did you not read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say you have to affirm it, but being mean to them or cutting them off is just, in my
Yeah.
opinion, not what you should do.
Yeah, like you
The
shouldn't do
verse
that.
I've always
Everyone's
seen
equal.
Mhm.
that people, you know, say this is why you can't be gay has also been interpreted to mean other things as well.
Depends on your
Um,
translation. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I don't know which one's more accurate, but like at the end of the day, I don't see why people care so much about what other people do as long as it's not harming other people. I mean, obviously it's your religious beliefs, but like you shouldn't be pushing your own religious beliefs onto other people. That's them. If you choose not to be gay because of your religion, that's fine. You know,
Yeah.
if you want to suppress what's inside you, that's fine. Do you? But like, I'm not saying everyone's gay. I'm talking about gay people who are religious. But like,
We're all gay. Don't you hear
everyone
me?
is actually homosexual. I have to say it.
Did you
No.
Did you just accuse all of us of being homosexual?
Yes.
You have no
How
proof.
dare you?
Look inside yourself.
I'm looking inside myself right now. I don't see- I'm just kidding. I'm
anyways.
just messing with you.
I don't see why people feel the need to push that onto other people and why it somehow seems to be getting pushed into our legislation.
Yeah.
When I thought we were founded on church.
Ooh, are we
and
gonna talk about
separation of
Christian
church and
nationalism?
state?
I'm
Texas?
Christian nationalism. Yeah.
yeah.
That's something I've disagreed with, despite being Christian, is nationalization of it. Because a lot of it comes from things that aren't from the Bible. It's kind of just hearsay or interpretations
Yeah.
that cause it to spiral into something else that it's become so detached from what the scripture actually says that I can't support it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That's my views.
a lot of people who support putting like religious things in, you know, our legislation and our politics and our government don't understand what the Bible says.
Or
Like-
the First
Like,
Amendment.
Yeah.
A lot of people go like a little crazy about it.
Like, why are we putting the 10 Commandments in schools? Like, why is that required in Tennessee now?
It's
I don't get it.
it's like it's one thing if it's like if it's an elective class
Yeah.
that you can
Oh, yeah.
sign up for and take, but like Oklahoma and like you said, Tennessee and stuff like that,
Mhm.
they're like we are going to bring religion back into our schools, and it's like that's okay if you're a privately funded
Yeah.
school that gets to make the decisions for itself. But when it comes to a statewide educational level, I think you should be able to learn about religion from an objective standpoint within your history classes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But as traditionally taking like a Christianity class, I think that it should be an elective.
Say
Yeah.
comparative religions, the only time I heard about religion in any of my classes outside of, just people talking.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that's a pretty good way to put it. Plus, it allows you to talk about more religions than just Christianity, because in those schools where Christianity takes over, what about the other ones? You're not going to get those covered.
Yeah.
And you know, if you bring, that's an interesting thing too, because I have, to use a media journalism term, off the record, there are things that, religions that I have discussed with, professors or teachers or, whoever. And it's not, largely it's because, I know where they stand on certain things. So it's not like I'm going in there and, pushing all these buttons. I'm not, because it's just, I know where they stand on it. So like, if I mention it, they're not going to A, get offended, or B, flunk me, or, they're not going to do anything, because that A, they know where I'm coming from, and B, most of the time, we see pretty much eye to eye on it. So it's not, there's no harm, no foul. And of course it's, off the record. So it's not like it's in it's not like it's in the classroom while they're, lecturing or whatever.
Yeah, I'd say that's not an issue. I mean, as long as it's not part of the curriculum, it's curriculum. As we're talking with like the teachers or fellow
Mhm.
students, what's the problem with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I see no problem with people discussing religion in general. I just think it's like I have a problem with people, implementing religion into required coursework, like specific
Yeah.
religions.
Yeah.
And pushing
Unless it's
that
comparative
onto
religion.
people.
Yeah, as long as it's not from if it's from an objective standpoint,
Yeah.
it's different. But it's like you need to learn this and you need to like this. That's
Yeah.
when it's
That's
like,
a little weird.
okay, what are we doing here? So, yeah.
Because then it's like, why are my tax dollars going to teach you something that I don't even, stand for?
Right. And there's something in the First Amendment about freedom of religion too. So
Yeah,
you know.
There is. There is.
I remember in elementary school, we had one girl who wasn't Christian. She was a Jehovah. Are Jehovah's Witnesses Christian?
No.
Oh,
Are they a branch of Christianity?
I don't think they are.
Jehovah's
Jehovah's
Witnesses.
Witnesses.
they are, but they aren't.
Yeah.
It's like a
Like,
Mormon kind of situation.
They,
Okay.
Like with Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't celebrate Christmas. and a
Yeah,
lot of
they
Christian
weren't
people
allowed to
do.
celebrate holidays.
Yeah.
And so every time we would do stuff for Christmas, she would just sit outside in the hall. And it was always really sad. And I felt really bad for her. Like, I think we should, obviously, I don't think we have to necessarily get rid of Christmas, but like, I think in schools, we need, at least, in rural schools, there needs to be a bigger push on inclusivity, not in like a DEI kind of way, but just like recognizing that there's other religions and that we shouldn't exclude people because of their religion
Yeah.
and put them out in the hallway.
I think as we got older, it started to just make the shift as like holiday break rather than Christmas break.
Yeah.
Like when
It
we were
did,
younger, it was like Christmas. We
Oh,
had
yeah.
the Christmas where we were singing to all of our parents, and it's like, what if half these kids that appeared like don't celebrate Christmas,
Yeah.
but they're still in the show because it's like, I don't know, maybe they didn't, and maybe I'm like forgetting that.
Mhm.
But like I feel like as we grew into like middle school, high school, it started to become like holiday break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time it
Because-
is called holiday break now.
Yeah, because it just started to become like,
Well, and DEI, what Annalise is mentioning is DEI is more of one of those. Because really, I didn't hear about DEI until you reach all the all the higher ed stuff. So like your post grad and even your undergrad. Because like when I was in middle school, high school, you said DEI to me, I was like, who, what? I didn't know what that was. But now you get into where we are now with undergrad, and then if you choose to do post grad, you'll hear that now. But also, I think it's a generational thing. It's a generational thing too, because when I was young and when I was in middle school, high school, you didn't really hear. Well, okay, not necessarily my middle school days, but my high school days, you definitely did. That's when you start hearing about the LGBTQ type thing. Because my elementary, middle school days, I'm sure it existed, but it was not as widely talked about as it was my high school days, high school into now. Now I turn a corner and it wouldn't shock me if that's what it was.
Is that probably because like the movement became more like well known because of that?
That would be my guess. I don't have any scientific way to prove that, if you will, but that would be my guess. Yes.
All right. Well, say we're about reached our time frame here, so probably gonna wrap it up. Any closing thoughts? No. Well, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you didn't, I don't care. Subscribe.
Please subscribe. Please.
Subscribe.
Subscribe now. We're gonna eat your first
Subscribe.
more.
Subscribe.
So now I don't get a chance to win $100.
No, we can't say that.